What is occurring in the cryptocurrency markets is one of the greatest chances you will ever see. Therefore, you should pay special attention right now. Preliminary steps have already been taken. Cryptocurrencies, including as XRP, Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Solana, have all maintained their value after reaching crucial levels. We have passed the shakeout and are now setting the stage for something much larger than what most people are aware of. A fundamental change to the nature of money is at issue here. Those who seize the moment will reap advantages that will change their lives, while the rest of us remain preoccupied with meaningless pursuits. Your money is not being advised by this. I don't want anyone to miss this setup because XRP won't allow you time to respond once it makes its move. That is why I have crafted an incredibly potent item just for you. The strategy for XRP millionaires. Get ready for an exhaustive breakdown inside, along with a detailed text, an eye-catching infographic, exclusive video content, and much more. All with the goal of illuminating the best way for you to comprehend where you should stand in preparation for what is to come. This may be seen in the comment section beneath the video. This is the first step in making sure this chance doesn't pass you by, so go ahead and take it. Because this is about more than simply price charts, it's about the macro level action going on behind the scenes. Let's go deeper. We are currently experiencing fiscal domination. This indicates that conventional monetary policy is not nearly as important as government expenditure, deficits, and debt in influencing the economy. Imagine the massive amount of stimulus pouring into the economy when the structural deficit is running at 6% or 7% of GDP, even in the absence of a recession. This isn't a temporary fix, it's built in, and it causes the economy to run at two different speeds. Some parts do well while others do poorly, but total liquidity is high. For this reason, investments in XRP, Bitcoin, and gold are poised for enormous returns. Liquidity needs to flow somewhere despite the private sector's sluggishness, commercial real estate's weakness, and residential real estate's freeze due to high interest rates. And money always goes to the assets with the highest potential for rapid absorption and multiplication of capital. Paul Tudor Jones adjudged Bitcoin to be the race's fastest horse for that reason. If Bitcoin were a racehorse, XRP would be the sleek new breed that nobody is ready for just yet. Thanks to Ripple's strategic efforts, the regulatory certainty has been released, allowing the technology and partnerships to be unleashed in an unstoppable fashion. Because this is the glue that holds it all together, let's examine stablecoins in more detail. There were no stablecoins 5 years ago. They were all pilot projects, already worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Their business is expected to surpass $1 trillion in assets under management in the near future. As a blockchain system, they are essentially the modern Eurodollar equivalent. With stablecoins, offshore dollars, international payments, and quick settlement are all possible. It's important for XRP because of this. The infrastructure is essential for all stablecoin transactions, and Ripple has received approval to launch RLUSD, their own stablecoin guaranteed by the US. So Ripple isn't sitting on its hands. It's actively trying to become the hub of this trillion-dollar capital flow. RLUSD stands out among cryptocurrencies. It connects the XRP ledger to the real-world liquidity that amounts to trillions of dollars. The XRPL is the medium of exchange for all RLUSD-based financial services, including payments, lending products, and more. I don't understand. In order to complete any of those deals, you'll need XRP for gas. That is absolutely essential. Blockchains are built around that principle. The demand for XRP will increase dramatically if the XRPL is receiving trillions of dollars. None of that nonsense matters. It all comes down to numbers, throughput, and liquidity needs. The retail sector is still uncertain, but the smart money is accumulating. Positioning is futile by the time the breakout starts. Let me add one more thing. Issuers of stablecoins get enormous financial rewards. Put it in your mind. Stablecoins are backed one-to-one by the dollars you deposit. However, it isn't idling. It's being invested in U.S. Treasuries, which have a yield of 4%. What this implies is that the issuer is effectively earning free yield on all of their dollars. As a direct competitor to deposits, banks despise this. However, this is precisely the reason why Ripple's foray into this realm is so significant. Now that they have the necessary compliance clearances, they can fully leverage their network and collaborations. RLUSD isn't going anywhere. Yes, it will be king. Because of this dominance, XRP liquidity skyrockets. Step back for a second. Nothing is going away. The US government is running large deficits, interest expenses are growing, and entitlements are ballooning. Bitcoin and XRP aren't only speculative investments because of this. We can't do without them. To put it another way, they are the only way out of a system that is completely trapped. Gold serves its purpose. The role of equities is fulfilled. There is a demand for real estate. However, if you want to go really far, nothing can beat Bitcoin and XRP. Cryptocurrency Bitcoin is the most secure digital currency available. If you need liquidity quickly, XRP is your best bet. When they work together, they can conquer any obstacle in their path. The evidence backs it up as well. In nations where the dollar is not widely used, the demand for stablecoins is high. People in developing economies are rushing to adopt stablecoins before banks can keep up with their demand for a reliable store of value. There's no reducing speed at all. That is speeding up. The XRPL is the most effective route for international settlement, and all signs of this trend are pointing in its direction. So keep in mind that those who claim XRP is slow or dead aren't taking the infrastructure into account. Ripple's acquisition plan is going unnoticed by them. The company is buying firms, integrating them into RippleNet, and then routing all of that flow through RLUSD on the XRPL. That is the overall strategy. This is the most pivotal moment in XRP's history, and it will become crystal clear when you make the necessary connections. This is only the beginning of the events that are taking place, because what follows from linking XRPL to stablecoins, treasuries, yield, and actual liquidity in the trillions of dollars is inescapable. Because what follows from linking XRPL to stablecoins, treasuries, yield, and actual liquidity in the trillions of dollars is inescapable. A new monetary system is taking shape right before your eyes. Now, it's more than just theory. 10 years is not far off. This is occurring at this very moment, and those who were quick to act are already securing their places. The conventional wisdom's response to this new reality is intriguing. One reason that politicians and banks are on edge is that stablecoins pose a threat to depositors' money. Anyone may possess a tokenized dollar, immediately transferable, borderless, and backed by treasuries. So why would anyone want to retain their wealth in a useless bank account? However, they are also aware that they are unable to stop it. Who then does that? They are trying to bring it under control through regulation, not eliminate it. It is important to them that the rails function according to their specifications. That is why the location of Ripple is absolutely vital. There is no unproven startup behind RLUSD. The issuing company is highly regulated, integrated, and has a proven track record in the industry. That increases the likelihood of adoption as well as its possibility. Please consider the changing nature of payments over history. We progressed from using physical currency to using checks, cards, internet transfers, and finally, mobile wallets. The pace of each shift increased. We are now entering the era of tokenized money, in which a blockchain stores the value of every unit of currency. When that occurs, it's about more than just receiving cash more quickly. Programmable money is the topic at hand. The true metamorphosis takes place there. Think of a payroll system that instantly divides wages into various investments, invoices, and accounts. Envision a world where shipping companies pay their bills in real time as items pass through customs. Just picture real estate deals that go through in a matter of minutes rather than months. When currency is made programmable, all of that becomes a reality. Finally, the most important thing. This was always the intended use case for the XRPL. The XRPL was designed specifically for settlement, speed, and efficiency, rather than trying to be a payment blockchain. For that reason, it is highly compatible with tokenized assets and stablecoins. Thus, RLUSD is more than simply a new stablecoin. It is the key that opens all the doors to the XRPL's possibilities. Things really start to heat up when we dive into the topic of liquidity. All monetary systems rely on liquidity. It is essential for all motion. It makes things go faster. The conventional system is currently disjointed. Banks, exchanges, and markets are like prisons for liquidity. They don't talk to each other. As a result, there are inefficiencies, expensive prices, and delays. By serving as a bridge asset and releasing liquidity, XRP eliminates this issue and makes instantaneous global transfers possible. As RLUSD pours trillions of tokenized dollars into XRPL, XRP will be the crucial cog in the wheel. Take a look at the world news. Businesses are tokenizing assets, central banks are playing around with digital currencies, and payment businesses are testing the waters with blockchain technology. However, the majority of them are awkward, sluggish, and only suitable for little pilots. Ripple is no longer in its pilot stage. In preparation for a large-scale rollout, they are onboarding firms and purchasing companies. There is a distinction. That is why the next wave of adoption will be very beneficial for XRP compared to nearly all other assets. And it's not limited to the payments industry alone. Consider financial markets. Nowadays, there are many middlemen involved in the trading of bonds, equities, and derivatives. The system is weighed down by friction, counterparties introduce risk, and settlement takes days. With tokenization, none of that is necessary. You could buy, sell, and settle an XRPL bond quickly. It is possible to automate the distribution of dividends or coupon payments. It would have built-in transparency. The price tag would plummet. Reiterating, XRP would be the fundamental currency for such deals. For this reason, many in the financial industry consider tokenization to be the most revolutionary development in the industry since the advent of the internet. Plus, its destination is crystal clear if you just follow the reasoning. In this future, XRP is a key asset that allows trillions of dollars worth of tokenized assets to move across blockchains. Refocus on the here and now. The surface of XRP may be betraying its current state of tranquility, but the groundwork is being prepared for this transition. Behold the tenacity of the price movement. The framework remains intact even in the face of volatility and shakeouts. When buyers intervene at crucial points, the market absorbs the supply and recovers. Yeah, that's how accumulation works. So that's the process of making a bottom. Bull runs are started in this way. The setting is also unlike anything we've seen previously. The retail sector drove cryptocurrency in 2017. In 2021, stimulation and speculation drove it. In contrast, institutional integration, regulatory clarity, and actual acceptance are the topics at hand in the year 2025. Never before has that combo been seen. The conditions are ideal for exponential expansion to occur. Take a look at the stablecoin flow data. In developing economies where currencies are in a state of flux, usage is skyrocketing. Unlike dollar-backed tokens, people have faith in their banks. Adoption is occurring because it is necessary. Stablecoins are a stepping stone to other blockchain-based assets as users become accustomed to them. Because of its role as a liquidity bridge, XRP is essential in this context. Network effects are another important consideration. After a financial system reaches a certain size, it becomes very difficult to change its course. The fact that Visa and MasterCard are ubiquitous rather than technologically superior explains their dominance in the payment industry. There will soon be a critical mass of stablecoins. Furthermore, Ripple is putting itself in the center of those network effects by directly linking RLUSD into the XRPL. That rules out a straight linear increase in the demand for XRP. It grows at an exponential rate when adoption rates are high. Think about the consequences for governments when they begin to depend on this infrastructure. Central bank digital currencies are already being tested. Although not all will be successful, the general tendency is evident. Digital currency is taking off, and blockchains are guiding the way. Over a decade of uninterrupted service, zero security breaches, and rock-bottom prices make the XRPL a tried-and-true system. Governments, organizations, and financial institutions that require reliability on a large scale would find it an ideal fit. And XRP is the asset that fuels it when they plug it in. No, we are not talking about the far future. Currently, it is taking place. Big names are aware of it. That is why they are discreetly stocking up, while the retail sector is hesitant. This pattern has been consistent throughout all significant cycles. The departure will have already been initiated when the news becomes aware of it. Once a trend reaches a tipping point, it can accelerate dramatically. In the space of a few years, the iPhone became the de facto standard for smartphones. In comparison to more conventional sectors, social media grew rapidly from small, specialized sites to massive, interconnected networks. By riding on top of already digital infrastructure, blockchain adoption will be accelerated even further. One of the greatest winners will be XRP, which is positioned at the intersection of tokenization, payments, and stablecoins. What does that mean for us now? With a market that appears calm at first glance, but is actually ripe for rapid expansion, at the same time that trillions of dollars worth of liquidity is being prepared for the future. Given the prevalence of fiscal domination, massive deficits, and structural imbalances, this system is becoming more and more essential, rather than merely theoretical. Another thing to bear in mind is this. There is no linear pattern to the process of adoption. The occurrence is periodic. We've recently seen a washout, also known as a surrender event, where the weak were swept away. This paves the way for an even higher wave to come later on. For once, the tidal wave isn't limited to the retail sector. Institutions, corporations, and state entities are intervening. Therefore, the chances of a positive outcome from this point on are far greater than the likelihood of a negative one. Taking a step back and surveying the landscape from above, it becomes nearly inevitable. In today's digital era, an antiquated global financial system will collapse. There is no way around change. You can't avoid it. In the middle of all this transformation are Ripple, the XRPL, and XRP. This marks the beginning of an even grander endeavor, because the next stage of this market cycle is where stablecoins, tokenization, and liquidity all come together, and you can begin to witness this convergence if you grasp their roles on the XRPL. The point at which markets begin to gain momentum has been present in every financial cycle throughout history. The year 2013 was the year that Bitcoin first gained widespread attention. Much of the fresh investment in cryptocurrency occurred in 2017 during the ICO boom. Retail involvement reached new heights in 2021, propelled by stimulus checks and global liquidity injections. However, the adoption of blockchain infrastructure by institutions will be the catalyst in 2025 and beyond. That is the impetus behind the upcoming wave, and XRP is its central figure. Why? Institutions aren't interested in mere guesswork. They favor practicality. They desire global, rapid, and safe liquidity. Continuously operating rails free of friction are what they desire. Compliance and scalability are what they desire. In this regard, XRP excels. For this reason, Ripple is developing enterprise-level solutions, including stablecoins and buying up businesses that can integrate with the XRPL. Additionally, XRP demand will not only increase but soar once that system begins to process trillions of dollars. Reason being, XRP's function as the gas asset cannot be altered, unlike other blockchains that have the ability to alter tokenomics or rules in the middle of the process. It is intrinsic to the layout. No transaction, no matter how big or little, can be completed without XRP. As a result, demand is assured as adoption increases. The magnitude of what is to come can be discussed. Every year, payments around the world exceed $150 trillion. As the world gets increasingly linked, the already enormous cross-border flows will only increase. The bond market alone is worth over $100 trillion, the real estate market is worth several trillion dollars, and the derivatives market is worth hundreds of trillions of dollars worldwide. These marketplaces will remain mostly unaffected by tokenization. Their own essence will be consumed by it. Tokenizing assets allows for more efficient trading, lower settlement costs, and new avenues for capital flow. With each step forward, the need for blockchain settlement grows. Consider the current state of the market now. When it comes to tokenization trials, Ethereum is first mover advantage, but it's costly and sluggish. Although they increase complexity, Layer 2s help. Despite its speed, Solana continues to have issues with centralization and stability, but the XRPL has been around for a while, has transaction fees that are a fraction of a cent, and settles in 3 to 5 seconds. It is more important for institutions handling billions or trillions of dollars to be reliable and predictable than to be hyped. That is why, rather than trying to catch the latest blockchain craze, Ripple is sticking to what it knows, the XRPL. Institutions can trust this strong basis. Most individuals also fail to notice this. One moat is clear regulations. Unlike most projects, Ripple has actively sought out regulation, going to court, setting precedents, and obtaining licenses. That safeguards their interests and also entices business associates that value stability in the law. Big banks, Fortune 500 companies, and government agencies aren't going to put their operations on the line for a project that could be shut down at any moment. You should go for the one that has passed muster and is now ready to go on. Ripple and XRP are those things. Take market psychology into account now. As with any bull market, it starts with skepticism. Even if prices are going up, many still think it's only a dead cat bounce. After then, doubt sets in. The good news is that it probably won't last. After that, consent. Everything is proceeding as planned. Then, when everyone jumps on board too late, there's exhilaration. We are still in the astonishment phase with XRP at the moment. Most people are oblivious to the fact that the foundation is being prepared. Because of that, today is the best time to start building up your wealth. Significant changes will have occurred prior to our reaching the stages of acceptance and ecstasy. Try to draw some comparisons to Bitcoin. They thought it was just a passing trend for a long time. The situation changed drastically once institutions began to allocate and exchange traded funds, ETFs, were introduced. That same narrative change is about to happen with XRP. At this very moment, there is ongoing debate on its applicability. But things will change when RLUSD becomes popular, tokenized assets begin to flow across the XRPL, and collaborations launch. As a result, the subsequent price movement is exponential in nature. This isn't a passing fad, so let's learn more about tokenization. In the world of finance, it is the way of the future. Real estate is a good example to consider. There is a plethora of documentation, escrow services, title transfers, and delays associated with property purchases nowadays. Tokenization allows for the immediate transfer of ownership rights on a blockchain and the fractionalization of investment opportunities, allowing more people to participate. That frees up many $trillion worth of value that was previously untradeable. Now picture it occurring in every single asset class: bonds, stocks, commodities, art, collectibles, you name it. Impressive economies are achieved, and the XRPL is specially designed to manage large-scale flows like those. The Trojan horse is stablecoins. They ease individuals into using cryptocurrency that is built on the blockchain. The transition to other tokenized assets is as smooth as utilizing tokenized dollars. The issuance of native stablecoins on the XRPL platform also serves to inject liquidity into XRP. Here we have a feedback loop. By increasing the demand for stablecoins, the ecosystem becomes stronger, which in turn increases the adoption of XRPL, which in turn increases the demand for XRP, and so on. Because of that snowball effect, this is a pivotal moment. The global angle should not be overlooked. Stablecoins are quickly becoming indispensable in developing economies as inflation eats away at local currencies. Argentinians, Nigerians, and Turks aren't sitting around waiting for Wall Street experts to make decisions for them. Because they are left with no other option, they are embracing stablecoins. As more and more dollars go into blockchain stablecoins, the power of traditional banking systems is being eroded. The XRPL is well positioned to take a huge chunk out of that trend, which is only going to get faster. Now we can relate this to the larger macro setting. Government expenditure exceeds tax revenue, a phenomenon known as fiscal supremacy. There will be ongoing structural deficits. They're woven into defense expenditure, interest costs, and entitlement programs. More money will need to be borrowed, treasuries will need to be issued, and there will be a greater need for assets with value outside of the system. Bitcoin is useful because it can be kept as money. As a liquidity bridge, XRP is advantageous. They stand for acceleration and protection, two sides of the same coin, and both will flourish in a setting that calls for them. On the other hand, XRP's utility is an extra benefit. Bitcoin may be the digital gold that steals the show, but XRP will still be the digital liquidity that controls the flows. Furthermore, as compared to narrative alone, utility-driven demand is stronger, longer lasting, and more persuasive. The upside is so amazing because of that. Then what are you supposed to be watching? First, keep an eye on the landscape of regulations. The fuel that Ripple needs is every new license they get, every country that approves their activities, and every new corridor that emerges. Also, keep an eye on the adoption of stablecoins. Liquidity on the XRPL will skyrocket once RLUSD acquires momentum. And lastly, keep an eye on tokenization trials. We are getting closer to widespread acceptance with every success story. Lastly, keep an eye on the chart for accumulation zones. Intelligent capital does not seek out excitement, but rather purchases when others are afraid. Right now, that's the picture we have. The whole picture becomes apparent when you combine all of these factors. The biggest wealth shift in modern history is about to happen. The current system is collapsing, a new one is being constructed on top of blockchain technology, and XRP is the asset poised to receive trillions of dollars in flows. Conviction is important for this reason. Until it's pointed out, most people will miss it. But in a few years, it will be clear to those who studied the basics, understood the mechanics, and prepared now that this was the time that determined their financial future. Lastly, allow me to present you with this. Infrastructure is constant even as cycles come and go. Technology that provides tangible solutions to issues does not vanish. Ascending, they descend. I did it on the internet. It was smartphones. It was done by social media. The blockchain is now joining the fray. Ripple is more than a token. It's the backbone of the currency of the future. The flows that are converging on it from behind are also too big to disregard. That is why the current chance window for XRP is so exceptional, not due to hype or conjecture, but because the basics are stronger than they have ever been, the use cases are more obvious, and the adoption curve is steeper than it has ever been. Those who are ahead of the curve will reap the most benefits from the next phase, which is approaching quickly. What I've created for you is the best way forward, so ask me about it. A blueprint for becoming an XRP millionaire, that is. A comprehensive bundle that includes a detailed document, an impressive infographic, special video content, and much more. Everything has been put out for you so that you can comprehend the path that lies ahead with precision. It is pinned to the comment section below this video. Right now, second, go look at it.